So we want to talk about the history of LuLaRoe and how you guys got started. Where did that passion come from?
Wow. You know, I I I was in a conversation last night with Anne, right there. She asked a similar question, and I said to her, when you have a large family, as Mark and I do,
Can you tell us how many kids you guys have?
well, we have 14 children, and they're all married. So do the math. That's 28 kids. You get the in-laws, so it's good. And and but I tell people it's yours, mine, and theirs. And 33 years ago, I went to Romania and with $40,000 cash in a fanny pack, tucked in my jeans and a sweatshirt over with my husband then, and had a translator there. And my husband was only there for a week. And then he said, "See ya, I got to go home and take care of the business and the kids." And I was there for 6 weeks looking for the other babies. So, two babies, and I found a 15-month-old baby boy and a 5-day-old baby boy. And that's a whole nother wonderful, amazing story. But then this is kind of a funny experience. I thought that was it. That was good. I did my part. I always thought I was going to have 6 kids, so 4 kids at home and the 2. And anyway, but I was leaving the embassy. I thought everything was all tied up, and they came running after me, and they said, hey, what do you want me to do with your dossier and your file? And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, it says here that you've been approved for 3 babies. And I went, what? And, how do you look up and go, no, God, I don't want that gift. Nah, and because I already knew how to do it, I knew what was it entailed, and I said, you hold that file and I'm going to be back. And when I got home, I made a vow to myself that if I felt the yearning and the promptings and I wasn't too chaotic at home, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back. And I did. So I found a 3-day-old baby girl, and yes, I went home, got home, and I had 7 children under the age of 12. So, yes. And so, anyway, so having a large family makes, I feel, for me as a mother, determined to make more money. And I didn't want to put the pressure on my husband. And, disappointingly, but it was okay. It was what it was meant to be, because I ended up with this guy. He's amazing. Anyway, but I was always an entrepreneur, always wanted to make more money so that I could buy the couches or the washing machine, because I already knew that my husband at the time was doing what he could, and it was as stretched as he could possibly. So in doing so, we started LuLaRoe because it was a time in our lives where I had already been selling these little girls' dresses, and again, another story, but it was in between, and I was selling high-end little girls' dresses at a discount price and would make about $60,000 in 3 weeks, and I loved that kind of money because it was like, hey, this is like great for hotels and not camping on the ground. That's not my jam. And it was really awesome, and I could spend whatever I wanted for Christmas for the kids, and he loved it also. And so out of the blue, I cut out a skirt. I'll show you in a minute. I cut out a skirt mainly because my daughter, who was pregnant at the time, came to me she said, Mom, I need you to make me a skirt. And I said, let's just go buy one at Target. And she goes, no, they're not cute, Mom. They're navy, brown, and black. Yeah. So I said, well, then we'll go down to LA. We bought fabric, and she was so excited about, oh, not this. Am I going the right direction? Nope, I'm going backward. Help me. Okay, she'll fix it. Oh, there's a family picture. Sorry, guys. So this is not all of them, but a good portion. Now, wait, go back to the family. All of y'all, just imagine that we have 37 grandchildren, and we only have 2 over 13. So they're all 13 and under. And so, yes, it's so much fun. It is just chaotic, and this man is so patient. He goes, yes, whatever they want, do it. Sure. Okay. Anyway, and so I made a skirt. And when I made the skirt, you can go to the next one. She posted it on, well, I made her a couple of skirts. She posted it on Instagram. None of us even knew what Instagram was, but she did. And she got 113 likes. And I'm like, oh, that sounds good.
Which is probably like 100,000 likes.
I know. She was good. She's selling them for $25 each, and they're adorable. She put it out there and told people that I would make skirts for them. And I had 65 orders, and honestly, by the third one, after doing this and cutting, I was like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. I found a pattern maker and a sewer. When I did that, I would go to LA, pick up fabric and a lot of end rolls, and I would take them to the guy that I found, and LA to Santa Ana. He was amazing. But the more I made, the more I sold. And I just kept making more and more and more. And I have a lot more videos, a lot more slides, but we're not going to do that with you today. But in that period of time, you can share what happened then.
Okay, so let me just fast forward a little bit. So that's how it all started. And there was no intent. There was no business plan. In fact, we've joked about making a business plan, spilling a little coffee on it and kind of roughing it up and going, look what geniuses we are. But the growth of the business was incredibly organic. And what really started LuLaRoe, as it's known today, was when DeAnn, she sold the skirts for 4 months in 2012. She sold over 20,000 maxi skirts in in-home parties, putting them in a van, driving them to somebody's home, unloading them, selling them, going to the next house, doing as many as 8 parties in a single day, and just working hard. That's who she is. She's got this incredible work ethic, and she was like, this is an opportunity. I'm going to do everything with it I can while it's here. So about November of 2012, one night, we're laying in bed. She's exhausted. She's been doing this. And she said, I just don't know how I'm going to get it all done. And my response was, there has to be other women who would like the same opportunity you've had and that could benefit from this as a business. And so we began to talk about what that might look like. And one of the next parties that she went to, the hostess of the party, DeAnn had left the house and was getting gas. And the girl called and said, I've got people that showed up, can you come back? And wow. DeAnn said, well, no, but why don't you come and get skirts? And she came and she was going to get 9. And DeAnn always said, if you get 10, you get an extra one free. That's your reward for selling with me.
Well, I know, wasn't that I didn't want to come back, but I was 45 minutes towards home. So she said, well, I'll come down to you.
So she did, and she got the 10, and she went to get the 8 or 9, and DeAnn said, you should get the 10, and then that way you get 11, and you can sell the others and make a little bit of money. So then she drove from that party down the rest of the way down the hill and into St. George, and she was at the bank in St. George, and the girl calls again, and she says, DeAnn, I need like 40 more. And so DeAnn calls me, and she says, what do I do? So I'm on a construction site, and I take a lumber crayon against the form board, and I do a quick calculation, and I say, tell her if she buys those, we'll sell them to her for this. And that was the start of LuLaRoe. That was the beginning of the business right there. I want you to know that we didn't have a business plan. We had an action plan. And we showed up every day, and we took things as they came, and we went forward. And we bootstrapped that business from those first skirts that she started into a multi-billion-dollar business with internal cash. We never borrowed money. We never took on investors. DeAnn and I are still the 100% owners of LuLaRoe. And we did that based on basically the idea that if we helped other people get what they want, that ours would come eventually.
This is so amazing. So what you did is you basically turned your business into a business model that was able to duplicate itself with others, and teaching in that model self-reliance, financial stability, financial self-reliance. That's amazing.
Yeah, actually, our business model, I read the book Good to Great. I'm sure most of you in here have read that, and we started talking, what could we be great at? And we couldn't be great at clothing. There's great clothing designers. We could be really good at it. We could make good clothing, but I didn't think that there was room for us to be great there. But we had this conversation, and we said what we could be great at was to be a small business incubator. And that was our goal, was to teach primarily women. Now, we have men that have joined and other things, but at that time, our goal was to teach women to become entrepreneurs. And as we began to become successful, there were several people that tried to knock off our model. And whenever that would happen and the team would start to chitter a little bit about, they're doing this or they're doing that, I said, remember, they're not our competition, because we're in the business of helping people become business owners. And if they're not doing that, they're not our competition. And if they are doing that, they're not our competition, they're our ally, because our goal is to empower people by teaching them the principles of entrepreneurism.
Okay, so I do have to let you in on something. Just this past week, my teen daughters, were watching a TV show, and they had said, I'm just passing by the living room, and on the show they said, oh, that's my order of LuLaRoe. And I'm like, pause that. Did they just say LuLaRoe? And they're like, yeah, what's going on? And I'm like, oh my gosh, they're coming to our conference. So it's so awesome to hear your guys' name within a TV show.
Well, thank you.
So you talk about, really this self-empowerment for a lot of women, and that's kind of how you started your company. Tell us about your core values and how you see and how you've been able to achieve putting those core values into the leadership, into people that are within your company.
So, again, we've heard some of that from up here already today. Oh, did I take it? No, because I don't ever want to step on you, babe. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Just in case you didn't know, we're married here.
No, I don't like change it away.
No, the core values are love and service. And it's recognizing, again, we've heard this already from up here today, and it's recognizing the individuality of each person. We instituted a practice in our executive team of reading a book basically every month, and brought by several different people. Just books to get us thinking and to get us talking about leadership principles. One of the first books that we read was a little book called Leadership and Self-Deception. And it was a powerful book about recognizing that everybody else has their needs and wants and their individuality, and that yours is no more important than theirs, and that you have to recognize that other people, if you serve them, the universe will eventually serve you back. And it's not tit for tat. There's no tit for tat, because, in fact, it pays back in exponentially. When you quit worrying about how you're going to make money, and you ask yourself, how am I going to serve? How am I going to help? And you look at people and respect them and honor who they are, then you create a culture where everybody's lifting. And when everybody's lifting, I'll just tell this room, because you guys are numbers people, and I don't say this out loud a whole lot because it sounds like we're bragging. Our first year in business, we had $3 million in sales. Our second year in business, we had 9.6. Our third year in business, we had 75. Our fourth year in business, we had $1.2 billion, okay? And it went exponentially like that because the focus was, how many women can we help? How many people can we empower to have their own business? How many people can we teach the principles of confidence? And, we'd do these seminars and we'd send out like questionnaires. What are you most concerned about? 2 answers every time. Top 2 answers: self-esteem and time management. Every single woman was worried about self-esteem and time management. And we never, ever, not once did we do a sales training seminar from a company perspective. They trained each other, but our seminars were always teaching them about themselves and their value and what fueling their dreams, trying to inspire them, trying them to find their best self so that they could live a life of joy.
And giving them permission, because women fret, they stack all their problems, and, hopefully a lot of you are married to them and you are kind and say, honey, it's all good. Don't do this right now, because we do. We want to get a lot done, and then when we don't, it's like burn and crash. And so my role is to, as they call me, Mama D, and, and I'm okay with it. My thoughts are, let me lift you up. I've been through a lot, and I can really reassure them that life is going to be okay, because it does. It goes like this, and, we're going to get through it together. So
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that answer. Now, all the achievements that you guys have accomplished within LuLaRoe as leadership and teaching self-reliance, helping people become financially secure, having that financial freedom, it really just puts you guys on the forefront of entrepreneur empowerment. How does that make you guys feel?
Well, I absolutely lay in bed and think about that seriously, because I'm excited, but I feel like there's still so much to do. So many amazing people that we're coming in contact with, and I feel like we're on a mission, so to speak, and meaning that we're not done. I mean, Mark was telling Richard last night that we don't have an end game. We are in it to continue to help others win it, and we're excited about the future. So it's thrilling.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I would just say that I was raised in an entrepreneurial family, as was DeAnn. We both have entrepreneurism in our roots, but I just love being an entrepreneur. I can't imagine living my life in any other way. And I invite people into that experience because it's exciting and it's empowering, but one of the things about being an entrepreneur, I often tell our people, is that you can be a bad spouse and not get divorced. You can be a bad employee and not get fired. You cannot be a bad entrepreneur and continue to be an entrepreneur. It requires your very best. And then there's the other philosophy of how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you become your very best to run your business, then you're going to be a better husband. You're going to be a better parent. Or spouse, I should have said. There's women in the room. It's my toxic masculinity leaking out. No, you're going to be a better person. You're going to be better equipped. You're going to learn patience. You're going to learn hard work. You're going to learn to do things you don't want to do. You're going to learn humility. You're going to learn these characteristics that are going to make you better adapted to perform in society. And entrepreneurism is the shortcut. You can learn those in a lot of places, but being an entrepreneur, you're almost forced to learn them quickly.
Absolutely. Definitely agree with that. Please give them a round of applause for that one. Now, as you've been growing your company and all these years that have gone by now, and you guys are still going strong, have you been able to see the impact through the generations of people that have worked with you? So, like, for example, moms and daughters getting involved, sisters, families.
Yeah, I'll let DeAnn talk to that.
It really is exciting and so precious, because, even as young as 2 years old, they'll get their boxes and of course, this first step is to get their oldest child because they're mom's helper. And I'm like, well, how old is your oldest? Well, she's 2. And I'm like, how are you going to get a whole lot of help out of that one? She goes, oh, you don't even know. She knows that that's her job. She will, she goes, I open the bag, she empties it. And, we have these little preservative.
Dry packets.
Yes. Anyway, and there's a little piece of paper in there to keep it from, sticking. Anyway, and it falls all over the ground. And it makes everybody crazy, but hey, at least your clothes aren't coming wet or anything like that from shipping. Anyway, but the other day I got a picture from her, and her daughter had, when she ran to go grab her phone, her daughter, the 2-year-old, had put on her favorite clothing, and they obviously were not even, they were like larges, and it was just so cute. And, so we have that, and what an influence that baby is watching mom do what she does, because mom's at home being there, teaching her and teaching her sons. And I'll go the other end of the spectrum. We have a gal who has 8 children, and she lives up in the high desert. Her husband is a highway patrol. And she started LuLaRoe because she just said, I want something at the end of the day to be mine. And she goes, it's not mine. My kids have now invaded because they come to me and ask, Mom, I need money. And she's like, well, they're not old enough to get a job. So they're old enough to help with LuLaRoe. And I have sat down with them and helped them with a strategy, how many pieces they need to sell, what do they need to do. And the kids are like, the 12-year-old boy, the 9-year-old boy, okay, when's it my turn? And they will literally, she puts them on a timer, and they know how to do it. They're like, Mom, you don't need to teach me. I've been watching you for the last 3 years. And it warms my heart. It just does, because for 27 years, I did dress parties and took my kids with me individually so that they could learn this entrepreneurship of learning how to lead and talk to people and be cordial and have great customer service. And that's what we're teaching. It's awesome.
Well, it's like what Mark said. You guys you weren't leading with clothing. You were leading with leadership and teaching techniques to be self-reliant. All right, so let's take a look at expansion and innovation. I'm really excited about this one. On our offline conversations, you talked about your leap into Colombia. Tell us about what you're looking forward to in Colombia and how that aligns with LuLaRoe's mission.
Okay, so yeah, DeAnn wanted me to mention that that with our production, we heard some of our countries mentioned today by others. Also, we're in Guatemala, we're in obviously in China, in Vietnam, in Mexico, and in the U.S. But for me, I've wondered many times how we can export this model, because in our model, our retailers buy clothing from us. We're a wholesaler, and they buy clothing, they take title to it, they take delivery of it. That means that they've got to have a place to put it, and they have to have a resource to get that clothing. And so moving into other countries has been a bit of a conundrum, and especially if we talk about third world countries. Well, through DeAnn, and it's another long story. We got a lot of long stories, so we won't go down that one. But she met a group of people from Colombia, and they immediately fell in love with DeAnn, as everybody does, and wanted to know how they could help. And they have a charitable foundation in Colombia that serves underprivileged women, and so we started talking. And they invited us out, and we got involved with a group of Colombian expatriates here in the U.S., and they have a program sponsored by the consulate in Orlando, and they give them some training to be an entrepreneur. And so we supplied them with some clothing and some professional clothing for them to look for jobs and so forth. And so, so through that, we worked out a program, and I told Alan when he asked me, I said, we're just a tiny bit premature because it's not fully effective yet. But what we looked at is that there are two classes of people. There are people who have money in Colombia, and there are those who don't. And there's not a huge middle class. And so how do we lift the women out of poverty? Because they can't sell our clothing to their friends because their friends don't have any money either. And so what we looked at was these women who want to do something to help, who are affluent, and they can sponsor a woman who is not affluent, and she will bring the clothing and sell to their friends. And so they can actually help lift her, and so we're super excited to get that program started. The pieces are in place. We're just starting to get that going, but I think it's going to be a real opportunity to make a difference. And I think maybe this is a moment where I just kind of tie in. We do philanthropy in the classic sense, but we do more philanthropy by operating our business in a way that blesses the lives of others and gives them opportunities.
Well, and this is in Orlando, and we didn't know what it was all about. We got invited by the Consulate General of Colombia, and Mark and I said, yes, let's go. And prior to that, really short notice, they had 58 women that had just graduated from this program, and they were taught by real estate agents, insurance brokers, and lawyers, all kinds of classes that they took that had to do with business, and educated them on what were their opportunities. But they did not speak English, and Mark does speak Spanish.
Buena suerte que yo hablo español.
And he laughs. He goes, no, I don't want to go over there. But they had been getting their makeup and hair done by Aveda. And so we, at the last minute, said, well, yes, of course, we will dress all of them. And we did more than dress. We put together an outfit of 5 pieces so that they could intermix them and for their fashion show. I'm sad I can't get the video up, but at least we've got this picture. And all of them strut down this red carpet. And you guys, if you could see them dancing, and they had cheers from their friends and family, and I just stood there and tears down my face because Mark wasn't there when the gentleman who owns Icon Park, I don't know if you've ever been there, he is from Colombia. His family owns 2 Ritz-Carltons, one in Manhattan and one in Miami. And he came to me when we got asked to be in the Orlando Fashion Week. And so LuLaRoe was there, and we did a big, huge fashion show. And in doing so, he came in to me and grabbed my arm in a nice way and just said, DeAnn, we have to get LuLaRoe down to Colombia. And this was in the 1st of October. And I'm like, okay, I will. But then I said, I don't know how. I don't know how to do it. And he said, I do. I will make it happen. And so that's where Mark is saying the plans are there, and there's such a huge need. And there's so many exciting things moving forward. And the Consulate General was just in awe meeting Mark because he could talk to them. They could. Anyway, so that experience was wonderful. And they hugged me, screamed when I walked into where they were getting their hair and makeup done, and they were already dressed in their clothes, and they just were so full of gratitude. So that's my intent. That is my intent, is to dress all of the women, to make sure that they love getting dressed every day. So
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, give her a round of applause. Now, as you mentioned, moving forward, as we consider the path ahead, do you guys see any challenges that might be awaiting for you? Are you anticipating any challenges?
It's my job to anticipate challenges every
Who's that?
day.
Oh, great. Ask
Yeah.
ask the serious guy. For me, I'm like, no, not at all.
No,
We're moving forward. We got it going. It's all good, you know.
well, when I look in the rearview mirror and I see the challenges we overcame, I can't imagine what they're going to throw at us next. But whatever it is won't really matter because we know who we are, we know what we're doing, we know why we do it, and they're not going to stop us. Somebody the other night said to me, "Mark, what would you rather be doing?" And I said, "Obviously nothing, because I can do whatever I want, and I'm doing this, and LuLaRoe is a mission for us, and for me personally, my core belief is freedom, and and I see freedom achieved through entrepreneurism, and we create entrepreneurs by selling clothing, and that's the way I look at the world. We're not a clothing company. We're a freedom company. We're an entrepreneur company. Well, we happen to sell clothing if you need some.
Yeah, definitely. I love what you said earlier. You are definitely teaching leadership and giving people a way to be empowered. But you talked about anything that you're doing, the two of you guys being involved, that this isn't about money. What you saw was it about changing people's lives, changing trajectories around the world. And that's what you guys are doing generation by generation. So thank you very much for your service and everything that you're teaching, millions of women and men out there to be self-reliant and have that financial freedom. Well, go ahead.
I'm grateful that we have so many men that do this, and it's husbands and wives get together and they start LuLaRoe and they find out that the wife is usually just, okay, I'll be in the back end. I will organize everything. I'll hand you the clothing while you are in front of the camera and selling and then men just love it. Well, more than that, the women on the other side of the camera are glued watching, okay, what's he going to do next? And he'll say, do you want me to put this on? And, he'll put it on over his T-shirt, and they just get a kick out of it. So it's a great time. And my thoughts are, well, make it happen. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And then I also want to just highlight on what you talked about going into Colombia. You didn't see the path forward on how it could happen because you weren't too sure, but you guys made it happen and were very creative and innovative with your approach. So thank you for that.
There's an old saying, God can't steer a parked car. So get in it and get in motion, and then we'll figure out where we're going. So
awesome. Okay, so I want to thank you guys so much, but wait, don't go just yet. We're going to open it up for couple questions, maybe one or two. Does anybody have any questions for them? Steve, you are the number one question today. Do we have a microphone for him? Okay.
Your creative process on us, and then also how you reinvent yourself. Thank God.
Well, clothes invent them. I mean, style just comes and goes, which is a blessing. Somebody asked me way back when I was selling maxi skirts, and I was just devastated. And they said, "Well, what are you going to do when maxi skirts go out of business? I mean, when they're no longer in style." And I really took it like, I don't know what I'm going to do in my mind. And there was a lady down at the end of the hallway waiting to go into the bathroom to try on her skirts. And she yells down because she heard the question from the other lady. And she goes, I think the pioneers have been wearing maxi skirts for a very long time. They started that style. And before that, it was, she just started generations before that. Clothes, thank heaven, we all need them. And for me, I just love what styles come next. And we have production people for production vendors that come to us and give us ideas of what is in style. And then we go, yeah, no, okay, yes, no. And that's a huge blessing. I mean, we go through probably 600 styles before we vet the ones that we really, really think will go to our customers. And so far, it's going great. Did that answer the question? Okay.
Yeah, let me add something on top of that. That from the very beginning, one of the pieces of service of LuLaRoe is that we make all of our styles from double extra small to triple extra large. And that was a result of her going shopping with her teenage daughters or with her nieces. And when you go to the mall, one size was down that wing of the mall and another size was down that wing of the mall, and you couldn't even shop together. And so she wanted to make sure that everybody could feel comfortable and attractive in our clothing. So we've always cut all across those sizes.
Well, and right now we have over 250 to 300 styles. So there's a lot of variety. Yep.
Awesome. Anybody else have another question? Yes. Can we get him the microphone? Ruben? Oh. Okay, go ahead.
And what was one lesson you learned the hard way?
You want me to narrow it down to one? I think one of the most challenging things is to pay close attention, because we were literally swimming in a river of cash, and so yesterday's mistakes were covered by today's sales, and it was very difficult to tell if we were really that good or if we were just hiding behind the cash flow. And so trying to find the weakness in the company was really one of the challenges. The other was just keeping up with processes. We would buy a software, and before we had it implemented, it was obsolete. And we literally started on QuickBooks, and while we were trying to do our NetSuite transition, there was a period of time where it was taking us a day and a half to download a day's worth of data. And it was just like, if there's money in the bank, keep paying the bills. We'll deal with it all. We'll sort it all out when we get it stood up. And so there was a lot of flying by the seat of our pants and just trying to do the best that we could. It was an incredibly exciting time. Obviously, it was like no other thing I've ever experienced. It was crazy. But
Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to hand it back off to Alan. Alan's going to introduce our next speaker. Please give the two of them, DeAnn and Mark, a round of applause.
Thank you. You're so
Thank
cute.
you so much.